Hello, and thank you for listening. My name is Luke Mardigan, the owner of the Mardigan Agency in St. John's, Michigan. And a lot of people ask me, why do you have a radio show? Well, we've been able to do something that a lot of captive insurance agents have not been able to, and that's have a scalable sales team and a self-managing operations team. And because of that, we've been able to grow our agency to double the size of the average captive insurance agency. And so this show is all about us sharing how we've been able to do that tactically and practically. And today we're going to talk about something that every business owner just starts to squirm when you bring it up, and that is money. So if there's anything you shouldn't be afraid to talk about inside your business, it's money, right? Isn't that the whole purpose of businesses, is to gainfully employ local people and produce revenue that can be spent in the economy? Yes. And yet, the thought of discussing payment with your customers or profit margins with your teams is enough to make every business owner squirm. So why does it cause them to avoid it? Because we're going to talk about it today. It is an uncomfortable topic that you think it's kind of like the whole concept. It's basically like what our parents, we don't talk about money, right? Like there's always, it's never a thing that is on topic. It's never something that's allowed. And today we're going to talk about how talking to your customers about money with confidence and building transparency around this topic is key to a healthy culture and a healthy relationship with your clients. And joining me for today's discussion is our guest,
Alec Nurnberg, Director of Operations.
And my awesome co-host,
Eric Gestring, the Mardigan Agency.
So why do most business owners struggle to talk about money with their customers and their team?
And what makes them uncomfortable?
Vulnerability, maybe. You're opening up it's not personal. It's still organization finances, but.
So I had this great conversation on the way to a wedding with my wife and one of her friends. She was sitting there kicking back and forth the pros and cons of changing jobs. And so one of the things that she didn't talk about was money, because it's taboo and it's weird or whatever the story is. Well, finally I just go, but how much money are you making right now? And my wife, Sarah, turns to me and she goes, you can't ask that. And I was like, well, she's asking our opinion on changing careers. Like that is a critical piece. If she's making $40 an hour, I don't think she should leave. But if she's making $10 an hour, she probably should leave. Even if this other job may not be as good of an opportunity, if she's going to get a $4 or $5 bump, like that's worth doing for 6 months or a year and to see if it works out.
Definitely.
And so it's that you can't ask that. That's not okay. But as insurance agents, we ask business owners and individuals every single day what their income is, right? Because we can't set up proper liability limits without understanding their income and net worth. And then we actually can't insure a business at all if we don't know their payroll numbers and their gross sales.
So we always make people feel uncomfortable.
It's to the point where it's not uncomfortable for us, which is why we're doing the show. Because for us, it's just it's part of our job. Yep. It's what we got to do. It's like a financial advisor. Financial advisors aren't like, oh, I'm uncomfortable asking them how much they want to put away into their 401k. They're like, how much do you want to put away in your 401k?
Right. We're also the loving agents that tell you, hey, you think this insurance is too expensive, you probably shouldn't have bought that 2021 Corvette right now.
Yeah. That's probably not a good financial decision because you're going to pay $400 a month for your insurance. What? I didn't know.
Well, that seems ridiculous.
Yeah, like third of my car payment now.
Yeah, you're like, yeah.
If it seems ridiculous, you shouldn't have the Corvette.
Yes, right. Yeah, like if you're buying it, then you should have no other issues,
yes.
Right? So it's kind of one of those things where money makes people feel weird and uncomfortable, and I really think that's like a baby boomer generation. Specifically, that generation was really, really taboo on talking finances.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want, the whole concept of, I'm sure you heard this, somebody isn't rich if they tell you they are, and somebody is rich if they don't tell you are.
Right.
Okay, well, that's kind of, I've heard that like 10 times in the past few months. It's just not true. There's actually people who are really wealthy and have nice clothes and nice houses and nice cars, and
actually the majority probably have nice clothing, nice houses.
That comes from this book, The Millionaire Next Door, which came out like 30 years ago. And people use that data from the 80s and 90s to determine what the modern millionaire looks like, okay? And it's quoted all the time. I see it in like Medium articles all the time that the average millionaire only makes X dollars. And it's like, well, that was literally, I know what that's from. It's from The Millionaire Next Door and it's 30 years old. So, most business, so that's the personal side, right? That's like the social interaction. We don't talk about money. We don't want people to know how good we're doing because they might try to take advantage of us, right? Versus just drawing boundaries so that people aren't able to take advantage of you, because that's what healthy relationships are, right? So if a buddy comes to me and asks to borrow money, the only time I'm going to give him that money is when I want to, because it's my boundary that I set. And so I don't have to give you money, but if I do want to, then I will. And that's a boundary versus, and some people can't draw boundaries. So that's why, years and years of getting screwed over by family and friends who borrow money, promise they're going to pay it back, blah, blah, blah. The best advice I ever got on that topic was from Andy Hogan. He was my FTO at the Lansing Police Department. And he told me, if you ever give money to a relative, assume it's a gift and make it known that it is a gift to them, that they don't have to pay it back ever. And then you have a healthy expectation of where that's going to go, that they're just not going to pay you back. And if they do, it just means that much more. You build that much trust. And now you're even more willing to give them money the next time because they actually did what they said they do. So I think that's great advice. Mark Graham actually just echoed that a couple weeks ago on a ruck. And he's only had, out of all the people he's given money to, he's only had one person pay him back in that time. And that was a pretty substantial amount of money. So I guess I kind of got it, but it was a friend. And he said, I'll trust him forever now because he paid me back this substantial sum of money. So that's the personal side. Business owners hate talking about how much they make because they don't want their team to know how much they're screwing the team.
Typically.
Yeah.
Is that a fair conversation?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to...
Too harsh?
No.
Someone's listening going, I can make my own profit. Yeah, you can. No, that's not the issue. The issue is whether you're being fair and equitable with your team.
Yeah, corporate world, I truly believe this is an idea that came from, just the booming of our economy and corporations, learning the psychology behind the way they should function and leadership traits and all of that. But the whole idea of you don't discuss with your colleagues how much you make and how much they make, that was created by corporations
because it's not good for them.
Right.
It's not good for the corporation.
Exactly. So I think that crosses over, for sure.
Yeah. I actually just saw a tweet last week or the week before that someone said, I met with one of my male colleagues and I found out he's making $30,000 more than me. Yeah. And so we both went together to our management and said, that's not fair. I do just as good a job as he does. He affirmed that I do just as good a job as he does. And they brought me up to his salary. Yeah. And they said that is the power of talking about your salary with your colleagues. Right. Don't hide it. Yeah. Find out how much they make.
It's a revolution to, open that conversation up and kind of fight back a little bit against,
It's interesting though, right? Because it happens all the time, every day still.
It
right?
does.
I would say the vast majority of business owners will refuse to be transparent about the operation costs and profit margins at all because of the risk of the turmoil that could come from it and them have to be exposed that there's all this money that's just being squandered or whatever.
And they could be very fair, and it could just be that it's uncomfortable. It could be very fair and they just don't want to open it up because they think, if the sales team knows we're doing so well, they could be okay with losing a little motivation and, as long as they're getting their job done. So there's a couple different ways to see it, but I think it is important to...
It's definitely to
face that discomfort.
It's a nuanced topic.
Yeah, right. For sure.
It really depends on your business model, your culture, all that stuff.
Absolutely,
So if your culture is, we don't talk about money ever, then that's your culture.
Yeah, right. That's fine.
But that needs to be clear out the gate.
For sure.
So that people aren't wondering what their raise is going to be every year.
Right.
That's part of the culture is you don't know what raises, you don't know. That's where I previously worked Fortune 500 company. They were very, very tight-lipped about money. Like they would not discuss it. And there wasn't even a process in place to give you a bigger raise if you did better than all your colleagues. Mm-hmm. And that's their model. And one of their core values is prudence. And so that's kind of what it's like very clear out the gate that, like I always joke that prudence is another way to say cheap, so it's a fancy way to say cheap. It's not one of those things where people get hired there and they're like, oh, I thought I was going to make a ton of money and I was going to get big raises. No, they're very clear. That's right in their core value. Yeah. They're not going to they're going to be thrifty. They're not going to just pay you as much as you want.
As far as players and having really good talent, I feel like being on the side of being okay with talking about margins and talking about profit and talking about overhead or expenses, I think you're actually going to entice them to want to be a part of it.
Team players.
Yeah.
So there's a difference here because there's
selfish ones.
Yes, you can have a high performer. Okay, look at every NFL team. There's always that one or two guys.
There's always a T. Owens, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that was like his brand, right? His brand was "I'm about me, pay me my money," right? I mean, so it's literally Jerry Maguire, show me the money, right?
The money.
And so you got to be careful because the A players are going to want transparency so that they can manipulate it against you. That's why you have to know and that's why I actually think it's a huge positive to talk about in a transparent way where the money's going and what the percentages are, because I want to know right now where my team stands on whether they're okay with the agency making any profit at all. Because if I find out that somebody is not okay with the agency making profit, then that's a sign that they don't fit in the culture and they need to move on.
Right.
I would rather know that now than later, when they try to flip it on me or manipulate me into getting whatever it is.
Complete contrast. Yeah, that has to be known, and that'll destroy a culture. Actually.
Well, we had a hire last year that he flat out said, "I'm very comfortable with other people making money on my efforts. I just want to be compensated fairly, and I want to know exactly what I'm getting on a monthly basis." Right. A player, right? He's an team player. Yeah. And when you talk to top salespeople, they know what a fair commission split is. Like just in general, what I've learned from a number of industries is about 66% is the highest you'd want to go on a commission split. So if you make $1,000 on a deal, no more than $666 should go to your salespeople. And it all depends on everybody's model, because some people it's a one-time only sale, and so they get a bigger cut of it or the company keeps a bigger cut because they only make that money once. Right. And ours is a renewal-based business, right? Insurance, every year they renew and we get commissions
some models
again.
Vary.
Yeah. So we can pay a little more because we know we have a lifetime value of that client that we can count on. So I think it's a good thing to just be honest and transparent and throw it out there exactly where it's at. I probably go to the extreme, right? We sat down with our sales team, showed them profit and loss. I mean, here it is, guys. Right. I'm not BSing you. I'm not making stuff up.
Here it is.
This is what it is. This is why we have to make the decisions that we're going to make moving forward. And what I found is that level of vulnerability is reciprocated back. Of the team goes, "Oh, okay, we get it. Yeah. Well, if I do this, that's not going to be enough money for me." Well, I totally understand. That's why you got to do X instead. And I think that having that out there allows you to see your culture like looking in a mirror. I think the old saying is, money doesn't change you; it makes you more of who you already are. So, if your team, when you inject a money conversation into a team conversation, all you're seeing is an amplified version of who they already were.
Oh yeah, kind of just exaggerated sort of in a way. Yeah, right.
It's more profound.
Yeah, litmus test.
That's why people get married, never talk about finances, and then have financial issues 5-10 years into it, and they get divorced. Right. Well, you never talked about it. You didn't even know where they stood on that.
Important conversation.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Go.
How is a business owner negatively impacted when they avoid talking about the money with their team or their clients? Like, what does that look like?
So I'll use my previous employer and a good friend as examples. Previous employer, what that caused is people left because they want it. If you were a performer, a high performer out the gate, okay. So I'll use my scratch my own back here. I'll use myself as an example. Tire team saves the company $3.2 million. I saved the company 1.8 of that 3.2. So I was responsible for over half of the entire team's production. So I roll into my annual review expecting some compensation for that. I didn't expect to get rich. I didn't want $1 million for it. But something. They give me a $3,300 raise and said, "Luke, this is the biggest raise that we have available to us. There isn't even a process in place for us to ask for more money. So thank you for your effort. But it is what it is." So what do you guys think I did?
Left.
Not right away, which is more dangerous. I mean, think about it. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's more dangerous for somebody to be disgruntled and stay, or be disgruntled and leave?
Probably more.
The situation dictates, I think. But
so most people, and studies have verified this, people will earn what they think they're worth, whether you pay it to them or not.
Yeah. So your production went down if you stayed.
Well, if I get the same raises as everybody else, then what's the point of me burning the barn down? Right. Mm-hmm. I'll just save the company a couple $100,000 like everybody else and get the same raise as everybody else. Right. And by the way, I know that I'm worth $1.8 million, per year in savings. And so I'm not going to work 40-hour work weeks. I'll be available for 40 hours a week, but I'm going to work about 20 because I'm giving myself a raise. This is real life. And so Alec, your salary and your position, that was like the deal out the gate. Yeah. Because I just told you, like, I don't care if you work 10 hours or 50 hours, just get the work done. Right. because I'm not going to sit here and pigeonhole you and force you to
because then you start costing yourself money in other ways.
You end up filling time. Well, filling time, it looks like unproductivity, right?
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
For sure.
So, man, time is up already. Time flies when you're having fun. So if you have questions about money and how you should talk about it in your agency, feel free to reach out to me. It's on around Facebook and Instagram as Be Insured. And you can just look us right up on Facebook, Be Insured. You'll see my ugly mug on the cover photo. Shoot me a message, and I would love to have a conversation with you about what it would look like to ingrain money conversations not only into your culture, but into your sales systems. So thank you so much for listening to today's conversation, and we'll see you next time on Be Insured.